Pokemon Champions has been out for a month now, and you might be wondering, what are the Pokemon I should stay away from? So today, we're going to go over the 5 least used Pokemon in the format, how people are using them, and talk about whether you should use them or steer clear. Starting off with number 5 is Watchog. Watchog, people have been running Super Fang 54% of the time, Double Edge 44% of the time, Fire Punch, Thunder Punch, Hypnosis, Low Kick, Ice Punch. You can see this is sort of just like randomly situated across this Pokemon. The Pokemon does have the ability Analytic, which boosts the power of its moves by 30% when it is the last to move on that turn. So in that nature, if you are running that, you do want to be the last thing to be moving. Otherwise, it's using Illuminate to ignore evasiveness. For the moves, these are kind of just random moves that people are slapping on here to try and deal a little bit of damage. And they are running a Chople Berry 33.1% of the time, Citrus Berry 7.8% of the time, and Bright Powder Focus Sash are the other two options here. The Chople Berry obviously to reduce that fighting type damage. For these spreads, people are tending to go max attack, max speed, or max attack and HP the majority of the time, alongside either maybe a hasty or an adamant nature. I don't know why they would want to run hasty, if I'm being honest. Lowering their defense doesn't really make a huge amount of sense, but hey, there might be a strategy to work around here. Honestly, I think this Pokemon is pretty hopeless. Its only move that is useful is Hypnosis and Helping Hand. So maybe as a supportive Pokemon, you might be able to get away with using this Pokemon, but in my opinion, I would steer clear from Watchog. Next up on the list at number 4 is Simisear. Simisear is running Fake Out 65% of the time, Heat Wave 36% of the time, Protect 30%, and Helping Hand 20% of the time, with Scorching Sands in at 21%. 27% of players are choosing to use Focus Sash, with 26 choosing to use Citrus Berry and 14% using the Charcoal. This Pokemon's number 1 ability in the format is Blaze, boosting its fire type moves by 50% when it is under a third. For the stat distributions, people are tending to run maximum speed, maximum special attack, with some points scattered between HP and defense, or HP and, well, there is a physical attacking set here too. But in general, this Pokemon is going to be a fake out user for you that then can deal some specially offensive damage coming in later on. Its best moves are specially offensive moves alongside fake out. So yes, Simisear, it actually does, I believe it does have a use case in the format as a fake out user. However, it would be a really special tech to get this one to work. So I don't think you need to steer clear from this Pokemon. Any Pokemon that learns Fake Out is good enough to make it into a team. Number 3 on the list is Stunfisk. Stunfisk is running Snap Trap 81% of the time. That is its signature move, giving the target the bound status, but it only has 35 power, which is a problem. It just means that they are locked into the fight. It's also running Protect 50% of the time, Yawn 30% of the time, Sucker Punch 27%, and Earthquake 27% of the time. There are 18% of players also choosing to use Fissure, and 18% of players choosing to use Stealth Rock. So you can run this as a sweeper or a setup Pokemon. 42.9% of the time people are choosing to run the Leftovers item to support the healing. Otherwise you're using Citrus Berry or Quick Claw. I would say Leftovers or Citrus Berry are probably going to be your best bet on this Pokemon. Its only ability is Mimicry, which just means its type changes depending on the terrain, which is very low use case in the current format. For these spreads, people are tending to run maximum special defense, maximum defense, or maximum attack, maximum defense, maximum HP, maximum attack. So this thing's either going to be a bulky Pokemon or a physically offensive Pokemon. It's really up to you. I would say that it has a better use case as a bulky Pokemon. 21% of people are choosing to use Sassy, which boosts the special defense, or Brave to boost the attack. And it looks like this Pokemon would be good under Trick Room. It's not the best Pokemon in the world. However, there's definitely a use case to use it as like a bulky wall that can yawn your opponents and lock them in from switching out after you have yawned them inside of Trick Room, putting them to sleep. So I don't think you have to stay away from this Pokemon, but I definitely think that it's on the weaker side of things. There are definitely better ground types, there are definitely better steel types, but there could be a situation where this actually comes to play for you. Going to number 2 on the list, we have Samurott. Samurott is running Ice Beam 46.7% of the time, Hydro Pump 45.7%, 30.7% of the time, Aqua Jet 30% of the time, Protect 28%, and Sacred Sword 23.2% of the time. So it is split between specially offensive moves and physically offensive moves as well. 20% of trainers are choosing to use Citrus Berry as the item, with 19% choosing to use the Mystic Water and 15% choosing to use Leftovers. So you've got healing or you've got straight up damage on this Pokemon. It's really your own call. Now 62% of trainers are choosing to use Shell Armor, which just means that attacks used on this Pokemon will never become a critical hit. That's much better than Torrent in my opinion, but Torrent does have some use cases where it would be better, but I would say Shell Armor would be your go-to just to reduce the impact of your opponent critting you. For the spreads, 13% of players are choosing to run maximum HP, maximum special attack. 7% of players are choosing to go maximum special attack, maximum speed, followed by 5% choosing to do the same, but instead of having 2 in the HP stat, they're choosing to have 2 in the special defense stat. And there is a 4.6% spread of people that are choosing to go maximum HP, maximum attack. Those are obviously going to be the people running the physically offensive moves. For the stat alignment, you've got 28% of people running Modest Nature, you've got 14% of people running Adamant, and 13% of people running Quiet, boosting either special attack or attack in most situations. Now, do we want to stick away from Samurott? I think Samurott's hard to use because it does run some physically offensive moves. It's got some specially offensive moves, but I think if you are going to use this Pokemon, use it as a special attacking threat that wants to come in and eliminate your opponent's fire and dragon type Pokemon with that Ice Beam. Thinking things like Garchomp, and I'm thinking things like Charizard if you can find a way to outspeed it. So definitely you don't need to keep away from this Pokemon, but it isn't the strongest in the format. And last on the list, we actually have all 3 variants of Gourgeist. Gourgeist is pretty rough to play as it's got 3 different variants changing its stats, and it doesn't have the best typing when you compare it, like its moves and its stats to something like Sinister. There's pretty much no reason to play this Pokemon, but let's go over it anyway. 49% of players are choosing to run Poltergeist, which is a great move. 44% of people are choosing to use Trick or Treat, 35% are using Will-O-Wisp, and 33% are using Trick Room, and it just goes down from there. This Pokemon is being used as a supportive setup Pokemon. However, 27.6% of people are choosing to use Choice Scarf, which doesn't really make sense alongside these 3 moves here, but it does make sense alongside Power Whip, Seed Bomb. I would actually recommend running Citrus Berry or Focus Sash on this Pokemon if you are going to run it, as it is going to be your setup Pokemon. You don't really want to be using this Pokemon as a serious damage dealer, but 17% of people are running Citrus Berry and 11% of people are running Focus Sash, with 10% running the Leftovers. Now, Gourgeist does have the Frisk ability. When it's switching in, it shows you what items your opponent's Pokemon are holding, but it also has Insomnia, which means that it can't be put to sleep. Not really that good. Frisk is going to be your best option on this Pokemon, just as a way to figure out, okay, what is my opponent using? Really good in closed team sheet to actually just figure that information out. For the stat distributions, people are running maximum attack or maximum speed 10% of the time. Not a huge fan of that. I'm more of a fan of the maximum HP, maximum special defense spread that people are doing and going for the setup on this Pokemon. Here again, maximum attack, maximum speed, so you're either running this thing as a physical attacker or you're running it as a bulky setup Pokemon. It's really up to you. 23% of the time people are using Jolly to boost the speed, and 21% of the time Adamant to boost attack. 10% of the time, however, people are actually running the specially defensive nature Sassy to boost the special defense and lower the speed. Now, would I play Gourgeist? Probably not. I would much rather play Sinister if I was going to. However, there is a way to use this Pokemon. It's not impossible. So would I steer clear from this Pokemon? No, I would not. I would say that there's definitely a way to make Gourgeist work, whether that's the small, medium, or large variant of it. There will always be a way to make this Pokemon work. It might not be as good as Sinister. You might be better off just running Sinister, but Gourgeist definitely can work if you just love the Pokemon and you want to make it work. That's all we've got for this video today. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you in the next video.